So look, we all love arguing about the best JRPGs. But today, we're talking about something different. The games that literally changed the rules. The ones that made everyone else go, oh shit, we can do that? These are the 10 JRPGs that redefined the genre forever. Let's get into it.
Number 1. Dragon Quest. You can't talk about JRPGs without starting here. Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warrior if you're old school American, literally created the blueprint. Before this, Japanese developers were looking at Western computer RPGs like Ultima and Wizardry and going, how do we make this work on a console? Yuji Horii figured it out. What did it do? Simple turn-based combat, menu-driven commands, a solo hero on a quest to save a princess, overhead world map, first-person dungeons, grinding for levels and gold. It sounds basic now because everyone copied it. That's the point. Dragon Quest took the complex, keyboard-heavy Western RPG and made it accessible with a controller. It gave console gaming its RPG identity. And the impact in Japan? Massive. It sold 1.5 million copies on the Famicom. The sequels were even bigger. Dragon Quest III hit 3.8 million and caused absolute chaos. When it launched in 1988, kids skipped school en masse to buy it. Nearly 200 arrests were made for truancy. The police complained to Enix and said, you guys need to do something about this. So Enix and Nintendo worked out a deal. From that point on, Dragon Quest games would only release on Saturdays. Not because of some law, that's a myth, but because the company didn't want to keep disrupting society. That's not just influence, that's cultural phenomenon status. Every JRPG owes something to this game. It set the foundation and everything else built on top.
Number 2. Final Fantasy III. Okay, so Dragon Quest set the foundation, but Final Fantasy III? It gave players choice. The job system. This was the game that made it flexible and actually accessible. You've got your warriors, your mages, your monks, whatever, and you can swap between them whenever you want. Well, almost whenever. You weren't locked into a class forever. This was huge because prior JRPGs were pretty rigid. You picked your party, that was it. Maybe you got some limited customization, but Final Fantasy III said, nah, you're gonna need to adapt. Some dungeons required you to have a specific setup or you were screwed. That encouraged experimentation in ways other games didn't. And yeah, Final Fantasy V refined it, made it better, but 3 established the concept. It proved that giving players freedom to build their party wasn't just a cool gimmick, it was engaging design. Job systems became a staple of the series and influenced countless other JRPGs. Games like Bravely Default, Octopath Traveler, they're all descendants of this idea. Final Fantasy III showed that customization and flexibility could coexist with classic turn-based structure, and the genre's been exploring that balance ever since.
Number 3. Final Fantasy IV. So, Final Fantasy III gave you party customization. Final Fantasy IV ripped it away and made you care. This was the first JRPG that really committed to character-driven storytelling. Cecil's arc from Dark Knight to Paladin, Rydia's trauma and growth, Kain's betrayal. These weren't just sprites with stats. They had personalities, motivations, conflicts. The story mattered. And then there's the Active Time Battle System, ATB. Instead of waiting politely for your turn, time keeps moving. Enemies don't wait for you to decide whether to use a potion or cast Fire 2. It added urgency, it added tension. Suddenly, turn-based combat felt dynamic. That system became the backbone of Final Fantasy for years. 6, 7, 8, 9 all used variations of it. Final Fantasy IV proved JRPGs could tell emotionally resonant stories and innovate mechanically at the same time. It wasn't one or the other. The genre didn't have to choose between deep narrative and engaging gameplay. You could have both. That shift from gameplay-first design to narrative-driven experiences with strong mechanics, that's Final Fantasy IV's legacy. It changed what players expected from JRPGs, and the genre never looked back.
Chrono Trigger is one of those games where everything just works. But let's talk about what it actually changed. First, the 3-character party. Yeah, other games had done smaller parties, but Chrono Trigger made it the standard. It was the sweet spot. Enough characters for strategic depth, not so many that anyone felt useless. That format became incredibly common in JRPGs going forward. Then there's the combat itself. No random encounters. Battles happen on the map. You see the enemy, the fight starts right there, no screen transition to some separate battle dimension. It's seamless. And because of that, the environment matters. Positioning matters. Combo techs between party members aren't just flashy, they're tactical. You're not just spamming attack, you're thinking about how your party works together. And the whole game is designed around replayability. Multiple endings, new game plus, time travel that actually affects the story in meaningful ways. Chrono Trigger wasn't just a one-and-done experience. It respected your time while also encouraging you to see everything it had to offer. The pacing, the battle system, the structure, it refined so many JRPG concepts into this near-perfect package. It showed the genre didn't have to be bloated or slow to be deep. Efficiency and elegance matter.
Number 5, Earthbound. Earthbound is weird, and that's exactly why it matters. Every JRPG before it was swords and sorcery, medieval castles, crystals, dragons, standard fantasy stuff. Earthbound said, what if it was a kid with a baseball bat fighting drunk guys and possessed taxis in a modern suburb? It was bizarre, it was quirky, and it proved JRPGs didn't need traditional settings to work. But it's not just the aesthetic. Earthbound gets dark. Underneath the bright colors and goofy dialogue, there's this unsettling psychological horror. Gygus isn't some evil wizard. It's an incomprehensible, terrifying force that broke my brain as a kid. The game tackles themes of loneliness, trauma, corruption, all wrapped in this Saturday morning cartoon veneer. That tonal contrast? Not a lot of games were doing that. And mechanically, it had some smart ideas too. The rolling HP counter that gives you a chance to heal before you actually die, auto-win against weak enemies, quality of life stuff that modern games still use. Earthbound didn't sell well in the West initially. Nintendo's marketing was awful. But it became this cult classic that influenced so many indie RPGs. Undertale, Omori, Lisa, they all owe something to Earthbound's willingness to be different. It expanded what the genre could be, thematically and tonally.
Number 6, Pokémon Red and Blue. Pokémon Red and Blue took JRPG mechanics and made them accessible to literally everyone. Kids who'd never touched an RPG before were suddenly grinding levels, managing team composition, worrying about type advantages. It simplified the formula. No complex stat systems, no equipment management, just catch monsters, make them fight. But it worked. It worked incredibly well. And the social aspect, game-changing. The link cable, trading Pokémon, battling your friends, it turned a single-player genre into a social experience. You weren't just playing Pokémon, you were talking about it at lunch, comparing teams, arguing over which starter was best. It created this cultural phenomenon that transcended gaming. Everyone knew Pikachu, everyone wanted a Charizard. That's mainstream penetration the genre had never seen before. Pokémon proved JRPGs didn't have to be niche. They didn't have to be intimidating 40-hour epics. You could take the core concepts, turn-based combat, exploration, progression, and make them appealing to a global audience. The series has sold over 480 million copies. It's the highest-grossing media franchise of all time. That's not just redefining JRPGs, that's redefining what a video game franchise can be. Red and Blue opened the floodgates, and the genre went mainstream.
Number 7, Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is the game that made JRPGs cool in the West. Before 7, JRPGs were niche. They were for the hardcore fans who imported games or got lucky with localizations. Final Fantasy VII came out on PlayStation with a massive marketing budget, pre-rendered cutscenes, and a story that hit like a truck. Suddenly, mainstream gamers were paying attention. Cloud, Sephiroth, Aerith's death, these became cultural touchstones. People who'd never played a JRPG knew about this game. The cinematic presentation, the materia system, the scale of the world, it felt big, it felt important. And Sony pushed it hard because they needed a system seller against Nintendo. It worked. 7 sold over 15 million copies and proved JRPGs could compete with Western blockbusters. But beyond sales, it changed expectations. After 7, players wanted epic stories. They wanted complex characters and moral ambiguity. They wanted world-ending stakes and emotional gut punches. The genre leaned into spectacle and narrative depth in ways it hadn't before. You can argue later games did it better, and some did, but 7 was the inflection point. It took JRPGs from niche genre to global phenomenon. Without 7's success, we don't get the JRPG boom of the late 90s and early 2000s. It redefined the genre ceiling.
Number 8. Persona 3. Persona 3 did something absolutely wild. It made the downtime as engaging as the combat. You're dungeon crawling through Tartarus, fighting shadows, doing typical JRPG stuff, but you're also going to school, hanging out with friends, building social links, managing your time. It fused life simulation with traditional RPG mechanics, and it worked. The social link system wasn't just flavor, it directly impacted your strength in combat. Building relationships made your personas stronger, unlocked new abilities, gave you tangible mechanical benefits. Suddenly, talking to your teammates and building bonds wasn't a side activity, it was core gameplay. You cared about these characters because you spent time with them outside of battle. That emotional investment made the stakes feel real. And thematically, Persona 3 is about death, acceptance, living fully despite inevitable endings. It's heavy, it's philosophical, and it trusts the player to sit with those ideas. The social sim structure lets the game explore those themes in ways pure dungeon crawlers can't. Persona 4 and 5 refined the formula, made it more polished, but 3 established it. It proved narrative-driven JRPGs could explore structure beyond go to dungeon, fight boss, repeat. It redefined what engaging with a JRPG world could feel like, and the influence is everywhere now.
Number 9. Dark Souls. Yeah, I know some people don't call Dark Souls a JRPG, but it's a Japanese-developed RPG with stats, leveling, equipment, exploration. It counts. And it absolutely redefined how we think about game design. Difficulty as a feature, not a flaw. Environmental storytelling instead of exposition dumps. A world that doesn't hold your hand or explain itself. You have to earn understanding. The combat is methodical, deliberate. Every swing matters. You're rewarded for patience and punished for greed. That design philosophy influenced everything, not just RPGs, but action games, indies, AAA titles. Souls-like became a genre unto itself. Games like Hollow Knight, Neo, even The Surge and Lords of the Fallen, they all exist because Dark Souls showed there was an audience for challenging, respecting the player design. And the multiplayer integration, invasions, co-op, messages, it created this shared experience without traditional online structure. You felt connected to other players without ever talking to them. Dark Souls didn't just redefine JRPGs, it redefined action RPG design, period. It proved players wanted challenge, mystery, and mechanical depth. It rejected the hand-holding trend in gaming and won. That's a redefinition of philosophy, not just mechanics. The genre, hell, the industry hasn't been the same since.
Number 10. Nier Automata. Nier Automata is what happens when you take JRPG storytelling and ask, how far can we push this? The answer, really far. Multiple playthroughs that completely recontextualize the narrative, switching perspectives between 2B, 9S, and A2 to show different sides of the same story. Genre-blending gameplay that shifts from hack and slash to bullet hell to side-scroller, sometimes in the same mission. And the themes, existentialism, consciousness, what it means to be alive, Automata doesn't just touch on philosophy, it commits. The ending choices, particularly ending E, break the fourth wall and ask you, the player, to sacrifice something real for strangers. That's not just narrative ambition, that's interactive storytelling at its peak.
Yoko Taro used the medium itself as part of the message. Structurally, Automata proved JRPGs didn't have to follow traditional formats. You don't need a linear story progression. You don't need standard genre conventions. You can blend action combat, shoot-'em-up mechanics, and emotional gut punches into something that feels entirely unique. It inspired developers to take risks, to experiment, to trust that players want more than just comfort food. Automata redefined what a JRPG narrative could be, how it could be told, how it could use the medium, how far it could go thematically. It's weird, it's brilliant, and it changed expectations for what the genre can achieve.
So there you have it, 10 JRPGs that didn't just participate in the genre, they redefined it. From Dragon Quest setting the foundation to Nier Automata pushing narrative boundaries, these games changed the rules and made everyone else adapt. What do you think? Did I miss any? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, hit that like button and subscribe for more JRPG deep dives. Thanks for watching.